Latest in a series of State Senator Bill Dodd's virtual town halls. Tonight's event is presented in partnership with KSVY 91.3 FM in Sonoma and Sonoma TV, and features three panelists talking about the state of transportation in California and what is being done to improve it. I'm Rick Wynn, one of the volunteer hosts on KSVY 91.3 FM in Sonoma. This evening's town hall is being presented on multiple video platforms, including Senator Dodd's Facebook page, facebook.com/sendbilldodd, sd03.senate.gov.ca, Sonoma TV Comcast Channel 27 in the Sonoma Valley, sonomatv.org, and the Sonoma TV channel on YouTube. For audio only, you can tune in to KSVY 91.3 FM in Sonoma or stream on ksvy.org on your home smart device. Tonight's event features Senator Dodd and three distinguished panelists talking about the state of transportation in California and what is being done to improve it. As I mentioned, Senator Dodd and the panelists will take your questions beginning at 6:30. The studio's call-in number is 707-933-9133. That's 707-933-9133, and that's at 6:30. We also have a number of questions previously submitted by email, and we will make every attempt to get to those not addressed in the panelists' opening remarks and subsequent discussion. Senator Bill Dodd represents all or part of 6 North Bay counties, including Napa, Sonoma, Solano, Contra Costa, Sacramento, and Yolo counties. And now I turn it over to Senator Dodd, who will make opening remarks and introduce this evening's panel. Good evening, Senator Dodd.
Good evening, Rick, and thank you very much for doing this once again for us. I want to thank our panelists and, of course, KSVY for being the platform for convening this latest in a series of town halls. In fact, this is number 18 since the pandemic started. I do want to also thank my team for making these happen. It takes a whole team to make it the quality, getting all these fantastic speakers. And so just thanks again to the team. Tonight, we'll be talking about California's roads, bridges, and public transit systems, and what needs to be done to make them better in an area of increasing demand and climate change. I'm very glad to be joined by this distinguished group, and thanks to the hundreds of people tuning in tonight. The fact that you are here shows your concern. We will take your email questions, as Rick said, and open the phone lines. Once again, at 6:30, once again, the phone number is 707-933-9133. California is home to the largest and most complex transportation system in the nation. Whether the mode of travel is car, bus, or train, everybody has many options for getting there. It's not surprising that the most populous state has the highest number of registered vehicles at nearly 15 million and the most road miles at almost 400 million miles. Combined, we drive more than 300 billion miles a year. We also have the largest fleet of public transit buses, eclipsing even New York. And there are passenger and light rail systems across the state, linking people to jobs and family. Still, the system is far from perfect, as everyone knows. The traffic congestion remains at unacceptable levels. Keeping our roads pothole-free has been a challenge. The sheer demand has inflicted a heavy toll. Our transit systems are in need of expansion. In the North Bay area, our roads face another major challenge, and that's climate change. Sea level rise threatens to inundate many critical routes, including Highway 37, which serves tens of thousands of district residents each day. Fortunately, the state and federal governments are working on solutions to this and other problems. Now, late last year, we know that President Biden signed a $1 trillion with a T, $1 trillion infrastructure package to rebuild our aging roads and bridges. Billions of dollars will come to California for public transit projects, wildfire preparation, bridge and road repair, broadband internet expansion, and more. At the same time, the legislature, in partnership with Governor Gavin Newsom, is making historic investments to ensure that the sustainability of our transportation systems are here for years to come. Not only are we improving the roads and transit, but we're investing in zero emission vehicle infrastructure, such as creating charging stations across the state. At trouble spots like Highway 37, which could very well be underwater by 2040 or maybe even before, we're supporting plans to keep it accessible. Last fall, I secured $5 million for the Sonoma County Transportation Agency to address environmental degradation along that route and advance improvements to this critical transportation artery. And this week, I introduced 2 bills to expand capacity on Highway 37 and direct federal funds towards wetlands conservation. These investments bring us closer to creating a sustainable and less congested roadway system. So while California may have the most people and the most cars, we're also doing the most to respond to our changing environment. Simply put, we are pursuing nation-leading improvements that will ensure Californians can get to where they want to be. Here tonight are 3 people to talk about making our transportation system better and what they're doing to do that. First is Dina El-Tawansi, our Caltrans Bay Area Director. Toks Omishakin could not make it tonight due to a scheduling conflict, but as I said before we opened up, I am really excited to have Dina, as she is a bright and accomplished engineer that I've had the opportunity to work with before. She has over 23 years of experience with Caltrans, spanning over many districts and various responsibilities. Her career was spent between the Bay Area and Southern California area. Supervisor Alfredo Pedroza has been the Napa County Supervisor since 2014 and is the current chair of the Metropolitan Transportation Commission. The commission serves the 9-county Bay Area and it provides planning, funding, coordination, and technical assistance to make life better for residents and to make sure our transportation systems are more resilient to future challenges. And as a note of personal privilege, he is the second Napa County Supervisor to lead the commission. I was on the commission MTC from 2001 to 2014 while I was a Napa County Supervisor and served as chair from 2007 to 2009. Alfredo carries on a very proud tradition. And finally, we have Eddy Cummins. He's the general manager of the Sonoma Marin Area Rail Transit. Eddy is relatively new to the job. He took over in November for Farhad Mansourian, who retired after leading SMART for over a decade. Eddy was previously COO of the Utah Transit Authority and is a 20-year Air Force veteran. In Utah, he led more than 2,000 employees, providing commuter rail, light rail, buses, and other transportation to 43 million riders annually. SMART is the Bay Area's newest passenger rail service, providing safe, reliable, congestion-free transportation option for Marin and Sonoma counties. The current 45-mile system includes stations along the Highway 101 corridor from San Rafael to the Sonoma County Airport. Future extensions are planned and discussions are underway about a possible eastern extension connecting Napa and Solano counties and also to the Capitol corridor. So welcome, thank you all for being here. Now let's hear first from Dina El-Tawansi. Thank you, Director, for being on with us tonight.
Thank you, Senator, and good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to be here with you and your listeners. It's really a very exciting time, as the Senator mentioned, and in discussing transportation in our great state. Much of the optimism stems from having the resources to pursue critical projects through substantial new federal and state investments in transportation, such as Senate Bill 1 and the Infrastructure Investment and Job Act. Caltrans as a whole currently maintains and operates nearly 50,000 lane miles of pavement and over 13,000 bridges and thousands of other assets on our state highway system. Here in the Bay Area alone, we have roughly 6,000 lane miles to attend to. The reality is that a large percentage of our transportation asset is aging and in need of maintenance and replacement. So a large portion of what we received in Senate Bill 1 and the Infrastructure Investment and Job Act that's coming our way will be addressing our aging infrastructure needs by taking a fix-it-first approach to all our assets. The Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017 invests an average of $5.4 billion annually over a decade to fix roads, freeways, bridges in communities across California, and put more dollars towards transit safety and active transportation. It dedicates about $900 million annually to mass transit projects and those projects that are supporting walking and biking. With the use of the SP1 funds here in Caltrans Bay Area, we were able to provide over 303 projects in various phases that are worth $7 billion to date, year to date. In Senator Dodd's District 3, which encompasses Napa, Solano, and parts of Sonoma and Contra Costa County here in the Bay Area, we have 78 ongoing projects with roughly $581 million of SP1 investments. Similarly, the Infrastructure Investment and Job Act, also referred to as IIJA, signed by President Widen last year, this is a transformative and historic $1.2 trillion legislation that provides $550 billion of new spending for fiscal years 2022 through 2026, in addition to our regular annual spending on infrastructure projects. This $550 billion is divided in several sectors, with $284 billion going to improving the surface transportation network and the remaining $266 billion going to enhancing core infrastructure. This is a huge investment of funding. So of course, delivery is paramount. And at Caltrans, we are focusing our efforts on how we're going to implement this legislation with our local and regional transportation stakeholders. We have convened an IIJA implementation working group that is being led by our cabinet-level agency, the California State Transportation Agency, also known as CALSTA. We started with the working group organizing and reaching out to a broad range of federal, state, local, and tribal government representatives, in addition to our traditional transportation stakeholders to participate. Here in the Bay Area, we're working very closely with our partners to strategize on how to maximize this investment for our region and position ourselves with shovel-ready and shovel-worthy projects to be implemented. Another exciting investment here also in California is the Clean California. It's a $1.1 billion three-year initiative that was born from the governor's California Comeback Plan to remove litter, create jobs, and beautify California that was kicked off back in July of last year, with 1/3 of that funding going to cities, counties, and tribal governments, as well as transit agency. The fundamental goal is to beautify, improve local streets, parks, transit centers, and public spaces. At Caltrans Bay Area, we've been able to expand on our Adopt a Highway program, hire additional maintenance crews, partner with cities to pre-dump days, and also offer additional maintenance agreement incentives to some of the local entities that want to help us out in our state right-of-way. We are looking not only to preserve, but developing the transportation system for the future, one that incorporates innovative ideas to get people, goods, and services from point A to point B. Our investments are guided through the lens of three foundational principles: safety, climate action, and equity, with the objective of serving all people of California. Multimodalism is also a key part of all our investments today and moving forward. Caltrans is taking a new approach to highway investment that steers away from widening and adding lanes to more focusing on optimizing the existing system to better serve all modes of transportation, provide access to all ages, abilities, and income levels, with a focused goal of reducing GHG emission and climate impacts. When speaking of climate impacts, one of the major focuses here in the Bay Area, as the Senator mentioned, is the threat of the rising sea levels. We are very well aware of the effects of the sea level rise on all modes of transportation located near the coast in the Bay. Higher water levels have already started creating a challenge for us here, and we are seeing an increased coastal bluff erosion rates and flooding. We have also led the statewide efforts in preparing a vulnerabilities assessment report, identifying areas that are most vulnerable to prioritize and to position ourselves for all available funding when it comes to climate action. In closing, I would like to note that all our projects would not be possible without the collaboration and the partnership across the whole region. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. I look forward to our conversation and your questions. Senator, I believe you are muted.
You would think after 18 shows, I would have that down, don't you? Supervisor Pedroza, you're on. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Senator. And Dina, thank you for your partnership as well, Catherine. You've been a great partner to MTC and local communities, so thank you. And Senator, thank you for introducing the bills you did today. Those are instrumental, right? 1049 that talks about the federal resiliency, 1050, State Route 37, the tolling. And look, we can all remember in 2017 when we got those storms, what it did, right? The diversion effect to Napa County, the impact to American Canyon, to Vallejo. We know the outcomes we're trying to prevent. But look, I think these record investments come with significant responsibility to deliver outcomes. And I think that's what we've been tackling at MTC. Now, the only wrinkle is the pandemic. I think the pandemic completely changed how we envision the future of transportation. And it presented us an opportunity to get back on the saddle differently. But what we're seeing right now is different modes of transportation. We are seeing people get in their cars because they deem it more safe. And I do want to give a shout out to all the transit operators. They've been incredible partners to create safe experiences, getting back on the train, getting back on BART, riding the ferry service, getting back on that express bus. They've done an incredible job creating safe experiences. So that way we can get back to public transit that's resilient. But also, how do we make those strategic investments to ensure that we're growing public transit? Because when you look at the greenhouse gas reduction goals that we're trying to beat, which are pretty significant, the 19% reduction, we're not going to do that by getting back in our cars. We have to get back on public transit. And that is why, SMART is an incredible asset too. Hopefully coming to Napa is also a priority. But it's those strategic investments that we're taking head on at MTC. Now, some of the things we're doing is we're also working with those counties to ensure that they're putting their stake in as well. So the local match component, making sure that projects are shovel ready, but also ensuring that those cost estimates that we did before are still the right cost numbers today. So we're being mindful of project overruns, and we can point to so many of those projects that are happening. So we do have a responsibility to go back and look at that. But what the infrastructure bill is doing is it's allowing us to be competitive, right? And that's on us as the Bay Area to ensure that we're making sure our projects are shovel ready, that they score the right way. Anything we can do to try to direct more funding to local MPOs like MTC, that always helps because we have those connections with the operators to deliver those projects. What comes our way through the formula funding, is great. But I think we need to meet this moment with a lot of energy, and you have operators that are willing to do that. Now, Senator, when you were talking about climate change and the environment, Plan Bay Area 2050 that MTC took on that passed by the Commission and ABAG, that plan is a vision for the future. It's looking forward, and it addresses the issues that we're all talking about: climate change, housing, jobs, transportation, and how they all have tension at each other. But you need a unified plan to really create those meaningful outcomes. So what we did is we have 35 strategies that are looking at how do we invest more in public transportation? How do we create safe communities, complete streets so people can walk to school? And we can all remember the days where we rode our bikes to school. Many kids don't do that anymore. So we kind of have to go back to some of those basics. And then what I will tell you too, bringing it back home to kind of our local community, there's a lot of money that we're trying to secure into our local communities. Commissioner David Rabbit in Sonoma County has done a tremendous job trying to secure money back into Sonoma County. Same with the commissioners from the North Bay. But for Napa County specifically, Senator, some of the things that we're trying to do is improve the safety of our roadways, but the flow of our roadways. Highway 29 is a great example. We're working on some improvements on the American Canyon, the gateway to our community. We know the traffic gridlock that we get when we're importing 40% of our workforce is coming in. Anyone that's been on the road at 7 a.m. can tell you the challenge we have. So from a climate change perspective, from a safety perspective, we are working with the council members there in American Canyon to, again, bring some money into that community. Funds like the infrastructure bill absolutely give us a competitive edge to deliver those improvements. And also the developers are stepping up to, create some incentives so that way they're contributing to the development of these projects. And then a little bit up north on, the Rutherford area and Oakville area, we're looking at roundabouts. Again, to improve the flow of traffic, to make it safer, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and the idling. So we're doing as much as we can locally. We need those resources, as Dina mentioned, to try to bring those competitive funds into our community to ensure that we're creating these projects, that we're delivering projects on time, on budget. And the commission is really being bold right now. I think there's commissioners like Commissioner Spearing, who's stepping up and creating a vision for the future that's bold, that's uncomfortable, but it's so right and so appropriate. So I'm really optimistic about what this commission is willing to do. And again, Dina's been a great partner when we talk about the conversion of general purpose lanes to express lanes. Those are all the things that we have to put on the table to meet those objectives of the future, to acknowledge that, business as normal isn't appropriate. But again, what's so great, Senator, is the funding that you've been working on, the funding that the federal government made. Now it's on us to make sure that we're competing for those dollars. We have the plans and we have the projects in place. Now we have to go deliver those. So again, thank you for this opportunity, Senator.
Thank you, Supervisor. We've got now our General Manager from SMART, Eddy Cummins. Eddy?
Thank you, Senator. I thought I would start with just a little bit of background on SMART. SMART is a publicly owned passenger and freight railroad. We currently operate passenger rail service on a 45-mile main line, and we serve 12 stations. Additionally, we have another 25 miles of rail and 4 more stations that are either in the planning stage or under construction. The agency has a lot going on right now, but I'm confident we are definitely on the right track. SMART and public transportation in general really has the opportunity to solve a lot of problems we have in the area. It's a green way to travel. And what is one of the things that's really exciting for me is that I think it provides access to opportunities. The state of California set a goal to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 40% below 1990 levels by 2030. In 2021, 40% of California's greenhouse gases came from the transportation sector, and 28% of those emissions came from automobiles. SMART will play a major role in the area's efforts to reduce its share of greenhouse gases. In fact, people who ride SMART emit 33% fewer CO2 per mile than if they drive. And if they use other low-carbon modes of travel, such as walking, biking, or using other transit, those emission levels go even lower. Another thing that I'm proud of is that SMART provides access to opportunity. The train provides fast, reliable transportation to education, jobs, and entertainment. It allows people the freedom to travel from the airport station in Santa Rosa all the way to Larkspur to make a ferry connection. Additionally, the system will soon reach all the way to Windsor and eventually Hillsburg and Cloverdale. There's also strong potential. We will see a commuter rail line along Highway 37 from Novato to Solano County. This project is already in the state rail plan and is currently viewed as a long-term goal with an estimated operating date in 2040. But with today's announcement about Senator Dodd's introduction of Senate Bill 1049, that project could be accelerated. With the train's ability to move a large number of people and get them to schools, jobs, and recreational activities, I truly believe the SMART train is a viable solution to reduce emissions and to mitigate traffic congestion. However, as an agency, I do think we have some work to do. The staff and I have recently been working with the SMART Board of Directors on some strategic planning. Through this exercise, we determined the agency has 4 major objectives. In no particular order, those major objectives are ridership, pathways, extensions, and freight. As we work through this planning process, the goal is to complete a detailed strategy for each of these major objectives. In the very near future, the staff and I are planning to hold some listening sessions so that we can get public feedback on each of these major categories. I'm a firm believer that if our outcomes don't meet the needs of the people, they're probably not good strategies. So we want to hear people's feedback. I don't have time to hit on all the major objectives tonight, but I do want to talk just a little bit about ridership. Based on where we are today, I think increasing ridership has to be the #1 focus area. COVID-19 devastated ridership for SMART and all other public transit agencies. However, we are starting to recover. Currently, we're carrying about 40% of pre-COVID numbers, and ridership is continuing to climb. As a matter of fact, last Wednesday, we had our highest ridership day since COVID began, so that was great news. Let's see, when I think about how the SMART train can have a positive impact in the area, I think the ultimate measure of success has got to be ridership. Being new to the agency and looking at the system through fresh eyes, I think one of my main focus is going to be solving the first and last mile problem. In order for people to ride the train, it has to be easy and it has to be convenient. I think SMART Train does a fabulous job of getting people from point A to point B, but when they want to go to point C, we have some challenges. The truth is the average transit rider will not walk more than about a quarter of a mile. So if you think about it, if we don't have good first and last mile connections, it really limits our ridership potential. To solve this problem, I think there's a few things that we need to do. First, we need to work with other local transit providers to better align our schedules and ensure that we have good connectivity. I'd also like to see us leverage bike share and potentially scooters at our stations as a possible solution. And last but not least, we need to be innovative and we need to think outside the box in regards to how we get people to and from their final destinations. Another focus area to increase ridership will be the tourism market and event service. This area hosts tens of millions of visitors each year, and we need to find a way to take those cars off the road and put those people on the train. Additionally, with the ferry connection in Larkspur, people can easily attend sporting events in San Francisco. This will likely require a special event train, but this is something I'm willing to explore because I think it would have a positive impact and be a huge community benefit. As I said in the beginning, the SMART train and public transportation in general has the ability to be a solution to help the area maintain its high quality of life. But as a community, we have to take advantage of that opportunity. If you haven't ridden the SMART train before, I encourage you to check it out. It's a beautiful ride. Lastly, I want the public to know the SMART team and I are focused on continuous improvement. And we're working hard to make the system better each and every day. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks again, Senator.
Thank you very much, Eddy. Okay, Rick, let's get to some questions, huh?
We do have some questions that were submitted online, and we have some people already calling 707-933-9133, but we'll have them wait for just a second. Probably 60% of the questions that we got submitted online were about road conditions, which I assume you can imagine, given that we have Highway 37 and apparently a real issue for those who use Highway 113 from Dixon to Highway 12. I have never used that road. People call it dangerous. They call it horrible. They say that the ruts make people go in the wrong direction. And that boils down to a final question in this area. Someone said, why does California have such bad roads? And that's an overall question, but given the Build Back Better bill and Senator Dodd's bill, I'm not sure what's in that. These major bottlenecks, what's the prognosis of getting those fixed? Highway 113, Highway 37, and others in in Senator Dodd's area. And I guess Director Tabwatsi, I'll give that to you.
Thank you, Rick. And I think it's an excellent question. And we do get that question quite often. As I mentioned in my opening remarks, I think one of the main reasons why our road conditions are really bad has been deferred maintenance. For years and years, we didn't have the proper funding levels to be able to maintain our roads at the level that we wanted to maintain them. With the passage of the Senate Bill 1 back in 2017, we've made quite a lot of progress in so many areas. And that will continue to be the case. And I think with the investment bill also, it gives us additional opportunities in that. Just to give the listeners an opportunity to understand how much SP1, for example, has contributed. We are on track to reaching all our goals. We had set out to say that 98% of our pavement and 90% of our culverts are going to be in good and fair conditions by 2027. We've been fixing 8,000 miles of pavement in 998 bridges overall. So lane miles repaired only prior to Senate Bill 1, we used to do 1,400 miles per year. Now we're looking at 2,000 miles per year. So, for example, we used to do 249 bridges repaired per year. Now we are that's comparing that to prior to SP1. We used to do 114 bridges per year, and the list goes on and on. So I think the short answer to this, and I know there's a lot of frustration from our motorists out there, but the short answer is we are putting a lot more investments into our roads than we did ever before. And, and with the listener that mentioned Highway 113, I would like to get a little bit more specific on that. And you're welcome to email me with some of the specifics. I'll also ask my staff to take a look and drive out there and maybe see what projects we have in the pipeline for that.
Well, that's fantastic, Director. I think since it's my district, I will take that drive as well. I've not ever taken that drive going, what would that be, south on 113 to 12. So I'll be doing that as well, and we'll be talking.
Senator, if I may, just to bring a local perspective too, Rick, I think this is where local measures help as well, right? So there's a lot of municipalities that pass their own sales tax that helps them invest in roads. And what Dina mentioned is we're simply playing catch-up work, right? So when we can leverage state resources, federal resources, and then you bring some local money to the table, it really grows the pie that we can invest in our roads. So again, when you see those local measures come up, it's so instrumental because it allows us to leverage those dollars to pave more roads and to fix those very issues that the questioner just asked.
Currently, one of the big issues on this road is there's an Amazon distribution center nearby, and there's a tremendous number of semi-trucks on the road, which I guess weren't there before. And I presume trucking with weigh scales, et cetera, pay their way for highway taxes and to fix these things. Let's see, we have listeners who have some questions. We have Mike of Fairfield is asking a question about extending railroad. Mike, you're on.
Thank you, Senator Dodd. Yeah, this is meteorologist Mike Peckner in Cordelia. And we have a golden opportunity now. Yes, sir? We have a golden opportunity to, I can hear you fine. We have a golden opportunity to extend the Northwestern Pacific Railroad from Cloverdale to Willits. And this is a shovel-ready project that will certainly reduce greenhouse gases and the carbon footprint on US 101. And I'd like to see some of that federal money, some of the state money to be involved in getting that going right away. Thank you.
Eddy, can you address that? Or is it too new in your job to really get to that? Have you heard about that?
Yeah, yes, sir. That's come up several times at our board meetings. That's something that's on our radar that we'll look at in the future as we look at expanding our freight operations. Absolutely. It's on the radar. Thank you.
Carol of Sonoma wants to know about Paratransit. Carol, you're on. Hello, Carol. Okay, Carol, we'll go to Kevin in American Canyon about Highway 37. Kevin?
No. Oh, Carol, okay.
Carol.
Yeah. Hi, Senator. I'm asking about integrating paratransit with regular transit. I know with SB 917, we're talking about integrating all the operators so that we have a uniform system around the bay. How paratransit fits in with that is something I'd like to know.
Alfredo?
Do you see a place where paratransit could be treated as normal transit?
Yeah, so Carol, one of the things that we did after the pandemic, we created the Blue Ribbon Task Force that brought all the regional operators together to talk about these issues of how do we create consistency among all operators, whether you're using a bus service, a ferry service. It's bringing the issues like paratransit to the table so that way all the operators are talking about it. So right now we are working with those operators, Carol, to have more consistency and standard expectations no matter what operator you have. And it's front and center as a priority. We have a paratransit advocate on the commission that really brings those issues forward. So what I can tell you is we're having those conversations, but again, not in a siloed way, in a regional way, so that way there's consistency throughout the region.
Okay, Kevin in American Canyon wants to know about fixing Highway 37. Kevin?
Good evening. This is for Senator Dodd. And what I'd like to know is how can you be holding a town hall on essentially global warming when people are walking into California stores with calculators so you can steal exactly $900 of merchandise and not be arrested? But global warming is the topic you think you want to talk about on your town hall. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That's just, let's get real here. We've got a lot of things that we've covered. We've covered like 18 different topic areas, and one of them was crime. And I can't remember how long ago it was, but we have lots of issues, and so we picked the issue that is topical for the time. And tonight it's transportation. Sorry you're not happy with that. Yeah. Go ahead, Rick.
Kevin sandbagged us on that one. Brian wants to know about litter cleanup. Brian?
Yes. I frequently travel Highway 4 and Interstate 80 around the Vallejo, Hercules area, and I just noticed an incredible amount of trash and litter alongside the roadways on the shoulders, automobile parts, stuff that looks like it's fallen off of trucks. And I know I see crews periodically picking this stuff up, but they can't seem to keep up with it. It's just unbelievable, the amount of stuff. So I'd like to see more money devoted towards trying to keep our roadways a little cleaner.
First of all, I appreciate that comment, because I too, when I travel the roadways, that's one thing that's very dissatisfying to see that. And it is very hard. I know that local communities, I know that Caltrans has worked very cooperatively with the city of Vallejo, for example. The city of Vallejo, it's kind of like the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Maybe that shouldn't be the way it is, but I certainly appreciate that. And maybe the director has, something she wants to say on this.
Yeah, Senator, it's certainly a challenge. And I have to admit that it has gotten worse in the last couple of years with the pandemic. We've seen a tremendous amount of increase in litter and encampments around the Bay Area that has been really difficult to deal with. But Brian, I just want to say that, we've been really focusing our attention on that. We've been doing some cleaning lists throughout our highways. And as you mentioned, the crews go out there and oftentimes we see the trash returning in a very short amount of time. So it's going to take more than just the pickup. We've also been partnering with some of the cities to provide free dump days. We've noticed an increasing problem with dumping throughout our highways. We are hiring a lot of additional maintenance crews. We are also expanding our Adopt a Highway program to help us out with that. And we're also extending an offer to local cities and municipalities that want to do some work on our right-of-way, and we can reimburse them for that. One of the traditional issues that Caltrans had in this area has been the ability to hire and recruit and retain some of our maintenance forces. We are one of the highest cost of living in the state, which makes it very difficult sometimes to constantly recruit maintenance forces. But we're looking to augment that with all the different methods that I just mentioned. And also we are giving an opportunity for incarcerated people and people that are trying to re-enter the society to apply to some of our entry-level positions. So there's a lot of efforts, multiple efforts that are happening in that area. But I assure you that we are making some progress and things will continue to move in the right direction.
Lenore of Napa is asking a question regarding the lights on Highway 29. Lenore?
Yeah, hi. Napa City Council has been hearing a lot of concerns from a group called Slow Down Napa about speeding traffic through residential neighborhoods. My belief is that a large part of the reason for that in North Napa, where I live, is the long wait times at the lights on Highway 29 at Trower, Wine Country, and Salvador Avenues. It got worse when lights were added on Solano for the bike trail. And then, of course, the wine train comes through, which is not connected to those lights at all, so it just extends the wait time. These lights do not seem to be timed or regulated at all by the presence of traffic. At 10 p.m., when nobody is on the bike path, you can still wait at the lights with no traffic going by. So I'm calling because Caltrans is there, and I understand they're the only ones who can do anything about this.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't catch the caller's name, but thank you for that comment. So it sounds to me that you are concerned about the interval of the lighting of the signals on State Route 29. And I caught Salvador Avenue. I didn't catch the other limit, but what I'll do is I'll take this back to my folks in traffic operations and have them check the signal timing intervals just to make sure that, to take a look at your concern and see what we can do about that.
And what I'll add to it, you have a high school, you have two high schools with very close proximity to the Trower intersection. So you have these peak periods that get loaded that cause the backup. But to Lenore's point, late at night, sometimes, you have this interruption on the cross streets versus if it can be free flow. So we have heard, some concerns in the past about just the synchronization of the lights in the cross streets.
Stephen from Vallejo wants to talk about the bridges in Vallejo. Stephen?
Evening. Thank you, Senator Dodd, for putting on this town hall. My name is Stephen Hallett, and I am from Supervisor Monica Brown's office in Solano County. I'm also a resident of Vallejo, and my question has to do with the Tennessee Street Bridge and the Georgia Street Bridge are both under construction or being rehabbed. With both of them shut down, it's really causing a lot of traffic problems throughout the city. So hopefully in the future, when we're doing that, we can only close one bridge at a time. Thank you.
Anybody want to comment on that?
Sounds like a reasonable suggestion to me.
Jerry of Davis wants to talk about dangerous driving and freeway design. Jerry?
Yeah, hi. This is Jerry from Davis, and I travel on the freeways a lot, 113, and the roads throughout the district, and it's become absolutely terrible out there. There are cars going 120 miles an hour. The Department of Transportation puts signs up, slow down, and nobody does it. Talking about the clean vehicles, one of the problem with the clean vehicles is they're heavier. They have 1,000 horsepower, and they go awfully fast, causing safety issues. And I was wondering if anybody, within the Department of Transportation thinks about this, how we can make our roads safer from the transportation perspective.
It's a great question, Jerry. And one of the things that we're really focusing on, especially with the investment bill and also with the proposed governor's budget, is really safety. Safety has been a concern, and we know that there's a high number of fatality on the roads every year, and it's completely unacceptable. A lot of this has to do with taking the new safe approach that is proposed by the federal government, where you're looking at safe vehicles, safe roads, safe incident response, and so on and so forth. So there's a new approach that the department is taking with a more focused on safety in general. But I also want to say that, with the speeding, we've seen a spike in the number of incidents of serious injuries and speeding in the past couple of years, in particular in the past year, I should say. And we've been working very closely with our partners at the Highway Patrol to see if more enforcement can be a possibility to help calm some of these traffic speeders. But there's a lot that's being done, and the safe system approach, I think, is going to be a real good effort for the department, and we are engaging on that right now, taking the lead from the federal government on it.
Sounds like it's an education and enforcement issue for sure. Scott from Sonoma, regarding dual mode vehicles. Scott, you're on.
Hi, thanks. I think I have for our new smart guy. I'm sorry, I didn't hear your name. I've been listening on my phone. I'm on my phone and trying to call in, but dual mode vehicles, that's your ridership and first and last mile issues. You can go from, say, Oakmont, if you want to take your lady to the opera, on a bus that can, with hydraulics and relative wheel widths, lower onto the rails and use that right away and drop you in front of the Civic Center or the Opera House. We can't do that with our current 19th century system, and our cities have expanded beyond the, rail catchment. So if we want to get to people, we got to get vehicles to people. And I'm just curious if anybody is seriously considering dual mode vehicles at this point.
So that is not anything that I've looked in at this point. Really, we've been looking at, different opportunities that we can, make those first and last mile connections. I think one of those is, traditionally connecting with bus. But I think that there's also some other items out there, maybe like a microtransit or something like that, that could help us make some of those connections. But thank you for the feedback. I appreciate that. I'll look into it.
Rick and Runner Park on rail service across Highway 37 corridor. Rick? Hello, Rick. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
I'm pleased that the speakers tonight have all recognized the problem of climate change and the threat of sea level rise, especially the Highway 37, and the contribution of so many cars burning fossil fuels to the problem. But every discussion I've heard about Highway 37, although it acknowledges that there's a railroad nearby, focuses on trying to accommodate more vehicles on Highway 37. It seems to me this is counterproductive. What we need is to reduce the number of vehicles, and we don't do that by making it more convenient to drive. There's a railroad there. SMART has its hands full with other things, but MTC and Caltrans could put that up high on their list of priorities, and without too much money and without too much time, it seems like we could have a rail line all the way from Novato just as soon. So I'd like to see what the speakers tonight think about accelerating that so we don't have to wait till 2040. Thank you.
Well, first, let me start because I think you're absolutely right. But because the size and the scope of the project is so big, it's just not likely we're ever gonna be able to get there. But that doesn't mean that we're not trying behind the scenes. In terms of capacity, I think the new project isn't necessarily, it will add some capacity, but it will have bike lanes on it, for example. It will also have Alfredo, what's the commute lanes? So, if you have 2 or 3 people in the car, you can get in the commute lane and move faster. So we are trying to implement those same type of strategies that we've done all the way around the Bay Area. Alfredo, do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, and what I'll add, Senator, we've been on that rail. We took a tour of it, right? So it is a priority. We're looking at it. And I think to this speaker's point, we're being very intentional and not making it convenient to get back in your car. We're trying to talk to, Caltrans. We're working proactively with Caltrans about looking at the conversion of general purpose lanes to express lanes to incentivize carpooling, right? We're introducing pricing in our roadways, right? At the same time, we're making record investments in increasing the frequency of public transit. So it's all happening at the same time. It's not just picking one or the other, but that's what we're doing to try to encourage and incentivize public transit as the most reliable mode of transportation. What we face is we need to make sure that the operators, the systems are talking to each other and that there's some fair consistency. So if you're on, the ferry service, it's talking to BART and it's convenient and reliable. So that's what I mean about planned area. It's not walking away from that responsibility. I think there's a desire and a collaboration to do exactly what the speaker just shared.
One of our emailers on that subject said, according to MTC, there are 23 different transit agencies in the Bay Area. To say this discourages use of public transit as well as increasing costs is obvious. Why can't we make better use of the money dedicated to public transit to unify those 23 agencies into one, such as New York, where one can travel long distances for $2 to $3, but it costs $12 to travel 35 miles on BART from Walnut Creek to San Francisco?
Rick, I think we're already ahead because I think we have 27, but if we're now to 23, I think we're making progress. But look, we are doing that. The network management case study that MTC is leading on, we're talking to the operators around that. We acknowledge that we can do better from a fare coordination, from a project delivery. When BART can deliver projects, there's economies of scale compared to a local operator. So we're looking at all those things. There's some challenges around local control and everyone wanting to protect their own system, their own operator. But again, the operators have come to the table with the desire to look, if we're here to serve the user, if we're here to serve the community, then we have to look beyond our own local control issues. And I think you will see significant strides. I know the Senator and I have talked about some legislation around that in terms of giving more authority to MTC to do just that. So you'll continue to see those conversations that are happening in this very moment right now at MTC.
And that legislation is coming up. Senator Josh Becker from down in the San Mateo County area is carrying that legislation. So hopefully we'll see something soon on that.
We've got time for 2 more calls, and they are with us now, Randy and Katati, about widening I-80. Randy?
Yes, sir, I'm here. Are you there?
We are.
Nice. I've got a couple of questions. I drive between here and Reno twice a month. I'm renovating one of my houses up in Reno because I'm planning on moving there because I'm tired of the state of California and all the bureaucracy and everything here. Is there any plans to widen Interstate 80 because it's the only thoroughfare that you can take between the Bay Area and Nevada? And the other thing is, Highway 37, it seems to me.
Did we lose Randy?
He disappeared.
I think he disappeared.
I'm sure we're really willing to add many more lanes so that when he goes to Nevada that he can get there quicker. I don't know why I'm a wise guy, but I just had to go there.
Next question. We're Anthony and Napa about the viability of improving public transit. If you can be quick.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes. Quick, please.
Okay. So what is the actual viability of improving public transit? Will it work, or will it be like the high-speed rail from San Francisco to Los Angeles that we dump a whole bunch of money into, it never gets built and doesn't work?
That's an open-ended question. Eddy, you want to take a stab at that? Or?
Yeah, I think that, if we're talking specifically about the rail line to Solano County, I think that it's very doable. I would encourage people to go and there's an engineering and study that's out on the SMART website, so they can go and see that information, the feasibility study. I think it's doable. I don't think it's one of those things that you would just sink a lot of money into. I think that, SMART delivered the project that they have here. The rail line was built. And I think that, there's a track record there. So I'm confident that if the money were available, we could get it built. Thank you.
We're going to have to take the rest of this up at another time because we are out of time. Senator Dodd, would you like to make some closing remarks before we call an end to tonight's town hall?
Yes, Rick, thank you very, very much to you and KSVY for hosting this. I'd like to thank my panel tonight. Well done, everybody. I appreciate you being here late into the evening. For all the callers that are out there, your questions and your participation here makes these forums much more interesting. And we're going to be continuing to do this, COVID or no COVID, because we think it's we're getting a lot of emails and comments that people really are enjoying this. So thanks. We're going to continue to have a sustainable transportation system with new things that continue to move the needle on climate change, sea level rise, and congestion management. Thank you all for participating. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. I think that one thing that we can say about transportation, it's very personal.
Amen.
Yes. Thank you all very much.